Cooking, it's about how to use all the different parts of the ingredient. From underripe to ripe to overripe, I'm gonna teach you how to use every part of this banana. I bet when you think about bananas, you think sweet, tender fruit. But I wanna show you how you can use these green bananas when you cook them properly. And I just wanna make a real small incision, running right down the length, just so that it's easier to peel afterwards. And these go into boiling water for 10 to 20 minutes. Now, what I love about using this green curry paste, there's all the aromatics in there that you need. Onions, garlic, ginger, shallots. And what's green curry's best friend? Coconut milk. This is super creamy, really flavorful, and it adds such a great texture to your curry. And let that coconut milk and the curry paste come up to a simmer. This is one of my favorite ingredients, the chili. If you like it spicy like me, keep the seeds in. If not, feel free to take them out. It's about time I check on my bananas. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. The skin to just peel away from the bananas. If you got chef hands like me, no problem peeling it hot. If not, set it aside for a few minutes. And these are gonna add starch to my curry, and they're gonna start to thicken it up. And it's gonna take on a totally different texture as these bananas cook. Another key ingredient, fish sauce. It's salty, and it leaves this entirely meaty sensation on your palate. And this is a lime leaf. So integral to Southeast Asian cuisine. But if you can't find it, grab yourself a lime. Use the zest. It's so floral. And you already paid for the lime. You gotta add a bit of sugar to this. The bananas are not gonna provide any sweetness. The way that a banana ripens is that the starches convert into sugars. When they're green like this, treat them more like a potato than you do like a fruit. That is fragrant, it's acidic, it's creamy, and this curry is tasting amazing already. I've got some halibut. And if you don't have any halibut, feel free to use shrimp, calamari, any kind of seafood that you have in your fridge. The coconut milk is coating that fish, and I can tell all of that green curry has perfumed that coconut milk. And you can add any kind of vegetables you have in your fridge. I have some canned baby corn and some sugar snap peas. I love using the brightest, most beautiful vegetables to add to this curry. It adds a different dimension, and they're crunchy and they're snappy. You know, everyone thinks about curry as something that takes hours on end to stew. But I love this curry because it comes together in a matter of minutes. Something you could easily cook on a weeknight. And this is Thai basil. It's almost like Italian basil, but just has a little bit more licorice flavor. And coriander. Now this recipe is so easy. I'm just tearing up some herbs, tossing it in. Super, super simple. Jasmine rice is the perfect complement to this curry because it's so flavorful. Just look at these colors, so vibrant. Now check out the texture of this sauce. It's velvety, almost custard-like, and that's because the green bananas did their job of releasing starches. A little finishing salt, more fresh herbs. You can never get enough. I gotta try this. Yes, that is delicious. Give it a try. You're gonna love it. And what you might like even more is this next recipe that I'm gonna show you. A really cool take on a classic, and it's ketchup. Now, ripe banana ketchup is my son's favorite recipe, and it starts with onions. best way to do garlic is to give it a crush first. The finer you chop your garlic, the more flavor it's gonna impart into your oil. Next up, ginger. It adds such a nice flavor. This is a trick my grandma taught me so that I waste as little ginger as possible when I'm peeling it. Ginger has a ton of fibers inside, and so the best way to break it down is to give it a slice. So I'm slicing across the grain, just like you're slicing a steak. No ripe banana ketchup is complete without a little bit of spice. When I make it for my kids, they always want me to leave the chili out. Sometimes I like to sneak a little bit in though. The goal is not caramelization. I just want to sweat it nice and slow. So I'm looking for my onions and garlic and ginger to start softening together and melding in those flavors with those chilies. And while you do this, here's another fun little trick. Push your ingredients to the side of the pan so that you have a little bit of the pan exposed in the center. This is gonna give you an area so you can toast your spices, like turmeric, pimento, or some people call it allspice. And the most fragrant of them all, nutmeg. Always freshly ground. Toasting always livens up your spices and it brings those key notes from your spices to the foreground. Add a little bit more oil, and I've got tomato paste. And the funny thing about this whole recipe is that it was created because there's a shortage of tomatoes in the Philippines. And so they started to use bananas instead of using entirely tomatoes. And I'm cooking out that tomato paste nice and slow. And this is also the perfect time to deglaze. Watch this. Jamaican rum. Make sure you're not leaning over the pan so you keep your eyebrows. Ripe bananas are what we're looking to use. You can eat them just like this, but there's no harm in preparing your bananas in a different way. Bananas give texture, they give sweetness, and this is such a great recipe for feeding kids fruits in a different way. Now, the key flavors for any banana ketchup is vinegar for sour and some soy sauce for some salt. But you gotta balance that with sweetness, and that's where the brown sugar comes in. And check out that body to the ketchup. It's a little bit thick, but you can always thin it out with a bit of water. Now, if you want a thinner ketchup, you can blend it, but I like it a little bit chunky. I'm using a hand blender. And that's the texture I'm looking for. Kind of like a thick tomato sauce. And the perfect pairing to homemade banana ketchup, homemade fries. Banana ketchup is ripe with banana flavor. What a new take on a classic recipe. For my next recipe, I'm gonna show you something that even Elvis would have loved. It all starts with a smoky marinade, soy sauce, fancy molasses. Remember when I said smoky? Smoked paprika, some brown sugar for sweetness. It's also gonna give us some great color, and a single clove of garlic. A bit more salt. Now, most people, when they see dark bananas like this, they only think about banana bread. But I want to show you that you can do a really cool recipe, and I'm going to save these bananas for later. Pressing lightly, I'm just scraping out the excess banana from the inside of the peel. Now, these scraped, overripe banana peels are going into this marinade. Have you guessed what I'm making yet? Now, the longer this sits, the better the marinade is gonna penetrate these banana peels and the more delicious it's gonna get. And in my kitchen, we use the entire banana. Now, every great sandwich starts off with really nice bread. I like mine toasted. You know, one of my pet peeves about using all natural peanut butter is swimming through that entire layer of oil at the top. But I got a neat trick. Store your peanut butter upside down in the fridge and there's no problems. Perfectly golden. This is the king of all peanut butter banana sandwiches. Just take off as much of the marinade as you can. Banana skin bacon. For all you bacon lovers out there, it even looks like bacon. Because of the sugar in this marinade, the longer it sits at room temperature, it's actually going to crisp up even more. And this is what I mean, nice and crispy. You hear that? This used to be a banana peel. Now, when I told you this is the king of all peanut butter banana sandwiches, that's because Elvis, the king of rock and roll, was a huge fan of bacon, banana, and peanut butter sandwiches. Now check that out. Now that is the king of all banana and peanut butter sandwiches. I'm Craig Wong. I'm a chef, I'm a restaurateur, and I care deeply about using the entire ingredient. And I love bananas.